discussing intra-Africa payment system solutions, and we have right here in the studio Director of Technology Accounts Management at MasterCard, Lara Randall, right here. Good afternoon, Lara, and welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Good to have you. So we're just that was someone talking about. We had the conversation this morning about financial inclusion. That's your space also. Would you say we are making traction? We are making gains in the area of financial inclusion in reality in Nigeria?
I will say yes. We are definitely making strides in the market. There have been quite a number of innovations over the last couple of years. We have payment gateways available to the market now. We have mobile money in different parts of Africa. We also have agency banking in, for example, Nigeria. Agency banking was created pretty recently to serve a niche, but it has become such a big deal in the markets now. There is almost no one who is not being served by agency banking.
But when we talk about intra-African trade, we seem not to be moving very fast in that area.
True. There is that. Now, you see, the thing is, in each country within Africa, they have what is already working for them. There's mobile money. We know M-Pesa, for example.
I think that's the most popular.
Absolutely. We have, and then there are other types of mobile money options available. You have the card schemes as well, that issue cards people can use to carry out transactions. There are payment gateways as well that offer account-to-account transfers. But you see, there is limited interoperability across countries. And so what you find that is working efficiently in one market is not necessarily working. You cannot replicate it in another market. So for example, the infrastructure that you need to replicate something somewhere is not available. The regulations as well are also different.
But that should be easy. We have platforms like AFTA, the African Free Trade Zone, which everybody has agreed to. Dealing with regulation, infrastructure might take time because of funding. But when you talk about regulation, it sounds like that should be easy because we are already in agreement to have this platform. And this platform requires intra-nation payment systems.
So I think two things. I think that because the different countries have their own regulations, getting the regulations to blend has been a bit of a difficulty. What one country is willing to accept as a payment platform is not being accepted somewhere else. Okay, that's one concern. Then the platforms as well. The platforms are not beyond the underlying. There must be an engine that is managing the transaction, and we do not have those engines available. Like I was trying to say, because of the interoperability, you cannot converge all the different payment platforms into one, and so that's why there's still that difficulty, even though we have the exchange already available.
So it sounds like that's ECHO, that's common currency. It sounds like it's not going to work in a very, very long time.
It will take a while to go live. It will take a while for everyone to accept it. Yes.
Okay. So now that we have these difference in infrastructural development, difference in regulations, but we still need to trade among ourselves. What do you, as an expert in that area, suggest that we embrace so that this is not hampering the trade which we should be doing among ourselves?
There are a couple of things that we should be looking at. Right now, a lot of the payment platforms work in silos. We need to work collaboratively, right? And then I bring in my
competition. You are from one competition, so I'm sure people like you would refuse to work with a competition, and perhaps that's why we're having these challenges.
And not necessarily, because I am firmly of the opinion that the more people you're able to bring to the table, the bigger the pie you're able to share. Right? That's what I believe. I believe that when we work in silos, you're not able to, you're concentrated on one pie, and that's where your body and blood and everything is going to. But if we're to come together to work, we will be able to do more. So I think that collaboration is important. I think that it's important for regulation as well to come in. There must be regulations that would foster innovation. We cannot, the rules between, for example, Nigeria and Kenya, Nigeria and South Africa, there are differences in the regulations, and those things need to come together for us to be able to.
Where should we meet? Is it ECOWAS? Is it after Secretariat? Where do you think we can meet for these conversations to be, like a melting point for the countries?
So an organization like Afrexim, for example, has created that settlement platform, and I think that someone like Afrexim...
Is it the PAPs?
Should leverage PAPs to drive trade. And then because they have been created for a purpose, they must be empowered to create regulations that will drive trade across the different countries, and they would be supported by the different central banks in each of those countries to carve a path for easier trade across. I also think that we should also look at things like invest a bit more in research, invest a bit more in awareness, because there is already existing infrastructure today or technologies that people are not making the best of. There must be a bit more awareness around what payment platforms are available to drive trade.
Yeah, because I wanted to say, at the time when PAPS was launched, there was a whole noise about it, but at this time it doesn't sound
I haven't heard about them in quite a bit, unfortunately.
Yes, it is, and that's supposed to be a solution for us. So perhaps there needs to be more enlightenment, you think?
More enlightenment. So I will just sort of deviate slightly to say one of the things that I had done in the industry was that when the bank I used to work with wanted to start to issue contactless cards, I was the one who drove the implementation of that technology. So pretty much all the banks in Nigeria today are already issuing contactless enabled cards. And if you were to travel outside of the country, the card would work when you tap the card on a terminal, but you don't have a lot of acceptance devices in Nigeria to tap your card and do contactless transactions. A few years back, there was this video that was viral on WhatsApp where people were saying if somebody should bring a terminal close to you, they can do a transaction successfully and take your money away, right? But that's not true. That's not how contactless technology works. There's a lot that has been done around security, around contactless technology, and so there must be awareness, whether for contactless, whether for any other type of payment platform. There must be awareness around the securities and how people can use it properly.
Yeah, because now talking about after we've done our first shipment to Kenya, that's as Nigeria, and we're supposed to see small businesses begin to get on the platform and trade. But if these challenges of payment solution or lack of adoption of these systems or skepticism around it, then we might be losing out of something we're supposed to be getting.
Yeah, so again, interoperability is a big problem. We need right infrastructure, we need regulations to help us drive, and then we need a lot of public awareness to drive payments as well.
What do you see as the payment trend in emerging markets in the let's say this year, 2025?
I see more payments platforms or payments gateways being made available and more accessible to the public, so that a one-man business can have their own payment platform and offer it to customers, to make payments. Apart from that, we see account transfers being a very big deal as well. That's here to stay pretty much. We also see that more parties would focus on local relevance. As countries are niche. Everyone has their cultural complexities, and so because of that, what works in one country will not necessarily work somewhere else. I foresee that the payment platforms or the payment schemes would focus more on domestic relevance in the market to drive scale.
Yeah, I hope Nigeria doesn't miss out of all of that mix. I guess we have the skills, the personality, or personnel, to drive that. So the only thing I doubt is the infrastructure,
Okay.
Which is always our weak point. But thank you so much, Lara Randall, Director, Technology Account Management at MasterCard.
Thank you for having me.